Welcome everyone, I'm Jennifer Dow and this is The Single Parent brought to you by Christ Our Shepherd Ministries. I want to thank everyone for tuning in and I want to thank Mike McCartney for joining us today. Today we are going to be talking about fear and faith. Basically, in a nutshell, we're going to be talking about how so many times we can be so afraid that because we're in a situation of being a single parent, that there's one spouse gone or maybe there never was a spouse, and the fear that we can experience with how are my kids going to turn out. There's so many things the world tells us or different people around us, whether it be family members, leaders that are around us that say, oh, well, you know, you got to watch out. Your kid's going to end up like this because of the lack of a father in their life or the lack of a mother in their life. And we just want to tackle that issue today. We want to bring out the truth of that. We don't want to believe a lie about that anymore. And so I want to thank you for being here with us today so we can talk about this. And if you guys do not know who Mike McCartney is, he is a former pastor. He is also a speaker and teacher and really a visionary. I mean, if just the different ministries that you've been involved in starting, just that's the one word that I thought of when I was reading all about them, is visionary. He is definitely committed to putting the gospel out there and changing this world for Christ. And so I'm so thankful that you're here today to help us with this.
Thanks for having me, Jennifer. I'm excited.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about yourself and just this whole idea of fear and faith.
Well, as a male, I probably tend to squelch the existence of fear in my life much more than a gal would. We men are taught by our society to pretend like we're never afraid. But I think fear is obviously very real and has an awful lot of positive benefits as well as what we tend to think of frequently the negative benefits. Fear, of course, gets us worried about possibilities of the future, but it also keeps us on edge. I was a springboard and platform diver in high school and college, and people asked, weren't you afraid when you were doing that? Right. You bet I was. And that kept every muscle in my body tense and prepared and intense focus and concentration. So fear can make sure we walk the straight and narrow, so there are tremendous benefits to that fear, although we're always present to the downside of it.
Wow, that seems like a pretty fine line, though, is it?
You know, I think it is. And I think our society tends to really focus on the negative side of fear, which is so easy to do, and we can get wrapped up in the emotion of it. But I sense that if the emotion of fear is from God, then there's some tremendous benefits to that as well. And just referring again to, as a diver, it really forced me to be focused, and it forced out side stimuli that were coming in, and I was really concentrating on that. And so, when we sense fear in our lives, I think that's a tremendous opportunity for us to really be aware of the possible distractions going on and to make sure that those are taken care of, and then concentrate on the task at hand. So fear can prevent us from complacency, I think.
I think that's a great way to look at that. I don't know that I've ever really quite looked at it that way, but that's an excellent view of it. Well, let's talk for a little bit about the negative side, the side that when it paralyzes us. For example, and I'll tell just a little bit of something that happened to me when I was 19. I had my baby, and I was a single mom for about 3 years, and I had a pastor and a family member tell me that my son was going to be pretty much messed up if I didn't give him up for adoption. That if I didn't just release him to somebody else, that there was no way that I could raise him to be have a productive life. And I grabbed hold of that, and I not so much that I was willing to give him up for adoption, but it stayed in the back of my mind. I said, well, no, that's not possible, but I still grabbed it as a belief in the back of my mind. And so it formed a lot of the way that I parented him. I parented him out of fear in several areas for a long time, thinking, well, almost like a, what's the best way to describe it? Like a paranoia or a